Hello everyone, my name is Ryan, and in this video I'll be presenting to you a game called The Road by Alone Editions. So to begin with, I'll be presenting the cards and a little bit the basic setup of the game. So over here we have the Road card deck, then over here we have the Fatality card deck, this is the Encounter card deck, and this is the Findings deck. We also have three smaller card decks that are trade cards. They are green, orange, and red. They're more specific decks, so we can check them out anytime in the game, and there's no need to shuffle them. We'll get back to them later, and see a little bit more. So over here, we have the Territory card deck, and the Destination Territory card. Here we have a gauge mat. At the beginning of the game, we place all the gauge markers on level 4. So on this board we have a lifeline, energy line, and morale line. We also have a second gauge mat that gives us the day count line and the destiny line. So how do we begin a game? First of all, we need to determine a destination, A, B, C, D, or E. This must be done randomly, either using a die or by picking a card in one of the trade card decks. On each trade card, there are letters A, B, C, D, and E. So you can actually pick one randomly. So once the destination is selected, the game can begin. So for example, let's go for destination A. So make sure all the gauge markers are in the right position. Level 4 here. Over here, day 1, and level 4 for the destiny line. We then pick up 2 territory cards. We turn them over. So here we have 2 territories. Their names are on the top of the card. The first territory shows us that to reach it we must confront 4 road cards, and the second requires us to confront 5 road cards. The benefit of picking the longest road in this case would be that the shorter road has a penalty that will cause the loss of 1 level of morale. So we're just going to put the destination card aside, and we'll pick 4 road destination cards. And so in this case, we're going to lose 1 morale point. Sometimes it will be bonuses rather than penalties. This is day 1, and we're going to place 4 road cards in front of us. So we're ready to begin our day on number 1, and confront our 4 road cards that will lead us from our beginning point to this territory. So to solve a road card, we just simply turn it over. Right, now this card is the Alley of Statues. We generally have 3 possible actions when facing a road card. So there are 3 types of road cards: locations, events, and obstacles. And here we have a location card. Now we have the line at the bottom that shows us that we can simply cross this location. On this line we can read the consequences if we cross the actual location. Here we have a little wavy arrow which gives us the option to bypass the location by going around it, and here we have another arrow that gives us the opportunity to turn around. If we choose this option, we are turning back to look for another road. If we decide to turn around, which involves looking for another road, we'll be faced with the consequences that appear here. The 1 next to the road logo means we must discard this card and swap it against another road card. If the figure had been 2 or 3, we would have had to exchange it against 2 or 3 other road cards. This action often makes the journey longer. Here, we can decide to bypass. If we do, we lose 1 energy point, and if we decide to cross through the location, we have 1 encounter. We can see the encounter deck logo. So we're going to cross through the Alley of Statues, and therefore pick 1 encounter card. To solve an encounter card, we pick 1. Here we have the little girl. During an encounter there are 3 possible reactions. Either the encounter is an attack, either the encounter invites us to trade, or this encounter will offer a specific interaction which will depend on the card you picked. So to know which reaction occurs, we simply look at the logo that appears on the back of the next card of the deck. So the back of every card is different. If we find this logo, or no logo, we'll know if the encounter attacks us, trades with us, or if there's a more specific interaction. So in this case we have the attack logo, so the encounter is an attack. The little girl attacks us as a level 5 encounter. If we have no weapons, we take 1 hit point, whatever the level of the encounter. If our level is below the opponent's level, we lose 1 hit point. To obtain the level of strength, we'll need to find weapon cards that we can get through the findings or trade deck. So she attacked us, we've lost a hit point, and we now continue our road. So we turn over the next road card, Biochemical Zone. Just like the other road card, we can turn around by adding 2 extra road cards, cross the area by losing 2 hit points but also getting 2 findings cards, or we bypass the location but lose 1 energy and pick 1 encounter card. So let's cross this location. We lose 2 hit points and pick 2 finding cards. Solving findings is very simple. We pick a card and add it to our provisions. In this case, we find tin food. If we use it, we gain 1 hit point back and 1 energy point. Also, this item has a trade value of 3. We now pick the second findings card, Brass Knuckles. This finding is a weapon. All weapons have a level of strength. This one is a level 1 weapon. This weapon has also a trade value. Even if we'd had this weapon for the encounter with the little girl, it wouldn't have been enough to defend ourselves. So we go on to the next step. We arrive in a museum. If we cross through the museum, we have a question mark of encounters and 1 findings. When there's a question mark, whether it's on a road card, a fatality card, or an encounter, we will replace the figure by the lowest number up on this gauge mat. In this case, 1. So we're going to replace the figure by 1, meaning 1 encounter and 1 finding. So let's cross the museum. In this museum, we encounter the shaman. The shaman attacks us at a level 5 encounter. All we have is the brass knuckles to defend ourselves. Our level of strength is lower than his, and we therefore lose 1 hit point. So next to the attack logo, you'll notice there's another logo. It's the fatality logo. When this logo appears, we have no choice but to pick a fatality card and place it at the end of the road card at the end of the day. But fatality cards are very penalizing cards that make your journey complicated. So here, it's a bit of a problem being attacked and getting a fatality card. So we're going to look into what the destiny gauge is for. I'm going to wind back a little. So the shaman is going to attack us and I have to pick a fatality card. But I'm actually going to use a destiny point. Using this, I'm allowed to take this card and place it under the deck. From this point onward, I'm now dealing with the logos of the next card. Now there's only the attack logo and no longer the fatality logo, so we lose 1 hit point but we don't pick a fatality card. We can again use a destiny point and place this card underneath as long as we still have destiny points to use, but let's not try that this time. So we then come back to picking a findings card, and we find a gas mask. We can use consumable items before or after a road card, but never during the road cards. We've just been through one of the cards, so we can use an item. Let's use the tin food, for example. We regain 1 health and 1 energy. Our energy is at its highest, so we don't increase further. So before using the tin food, we were down to 0 on our gauge mat. 0 is the limit zone. We haven't lost, but it's very close. This means we can continue the day even when we've reached 0. But if one of our gauge markers is still on 0, when there are no road or fatality cards left for the current day, we lose the game. So we have until the end of the day to get out of the 0 zone. However, should the marker reach the skull, we immediately lose the game. So let's solve the last road card of the day. The Old Theatre. If we go through and cross the Old Theatre, we'll have 1 encounter and get 1 finding. If we bypass, we will simply lose 1 energy. Let's visit the theatre. So we pick 1 encounter card. We encounter the drunken man in the theatre. If he were to attack us, it would be a question mark level attack, which means a strength equal to 1 in this case. But here the drunken man doesn't attack us, he decides to trade with us. So how does that work? We have here a figure, the trade logo, and a color. So in this case, the drunken man is offering to trade for a value of 2. A card from the green deck of the trade cards. So let's take the green trade deck to see what items it contains. All of these items are things the drunken man is offering. He wishes to trade for a value of 2, so I'll have to give him something of the value of 2 or above. The value of the item is indicated at the bottom of each card. Our brass knuckles are worth 2, so we can give him our brass knuckles against one of the items in the green deck. So I discard my item in order to take the iron bar, for instance. The iron bar is interesting because it has a strength of 2, whereas the brass knuckles had 1, so it's a pretty good trade. But what we can also see is that the iron bar has a weight level of 2. We are also carrying the gas mask with a weight of 1. Every time we pick a new item, we need to check the total weight we're carrying and check that we're not over the maximum carriage on the gauge mat. So for the moment, we're allowed 6 points of carriage. Day 1 and Day 2, it's 6 at most. Day 3 and 4, it's a load of 5 points maximum, and Day 5 and 6, a maximum load of 4. If we end up over, we'll have to select and discard all excess cards. When a day ends, we discard all the road cards, we move the marker to Day 2, we pick 2 new territory cards, and we choose one of them. If we pick Enyo, we will face 6 road cards, but gain 1 destiny point. Or we can pick Cerber and face 5 road cards. Let's try Cerber and face 5 cards. We then turn the first road card over, the main square. So here we continue the game as shown before during the first day. We can cross the main square, bypass it, or turn around. Let's look into the fatality deck now. So we'll go for an encounter and imagine we have a fatality on the back of the next card. I'm just going to grab one. Okay. And then I place the fatality at the end of the day. Knowing that we have a fatality to face at the end of the day allows us to better prepare for it. Fatalities have several consequences. This one, for instance, causes the loss of 2 morale points. This one forces us to add 3 road cards to our day, meaning the day is prolonged. There are also fatality cards that make you lose health, energy, morale, unless you have an appropriate item from the findings deck, the rope in this case. It's very recommended to avoid fatality cards. There is still much more to discover about this game. This is a very general presentation. The game rules will soon be available. The more you play the road, the more you'll understand how to better survive in the world of Geynum. So prepare to make difficult choices and overcome the tension until the very last card and the very last day. Okay, well, this was a little presentation of the road. Thank you for your attention and see you soon for some more Alone editions.